was sent this yesterday. As you can see, this is the sort of thing that the DWP are doing. And this was sent to a doctor's surgery. And as you can see, in catchment area for Oak Tree Lane surgery. As per Job Centre Plus letter dated 5th of August 2017, no more Med 3s to be issued to patient. So they're sending these out so that you can no longer get a sick note, basically. Yet a further attack on the sick, but they don't care because they get bonuses for everyone that they, well, I would suggest that they murder. Think that says it all, really, don't you? And if you think about the song, even though she caught him doing it on the kitchen, bathroom or kitchen floor, it wasn't me. Yeah. R.I.P. the homeless man that died in Wakefield this morning due to cold, ex-military. This country failed you, 1911-19. And of course, we've got the bloke that died in Nottingham. But what has the Conservative government just said? Oh, we've got 5 billion to, give you things. Well, I'll tell you what we want. We want you lot to get lost. And if you're going to do anything with that money, get the homeless off the street. Get those in poverty out of it. But that's not your plan, is it? Because you don't work like that. You've got one agenda. The destruction of humanity. And they're working well onto that. But we are getting so close now, because when I first started down this path, it was like I was the only one that had a clue of what was going on. Now, it seems to be just about common knowledge. What we're going through at the moment is the dying throngs of an old empire. And it may get a little bit worse, it may not. It depends on us. We can stop it as soon as we want to. All we've got to do is do something instead of doing nothing. Jim fixed it for me. Yes, you dirty, filthy bastard. When it comes down to it, the only knowledge that really matters is how to purify water, how to grow food, how to cook, how to build, and how to love. And oddly enough, we aren't taught any of it in school. It's like they want your head filled up with useless crap that will never benefit your life, so you're always dependent on government and corporations. And if you think back when I was at school, they did used to have cooking lessons, but they got rid of them. And again, what is said in that article by Natural News is spot on, because at one point they were assisting us. Now we've outgrown them, and it's time we got rid of them. You were chosen to be here for this moment, for this time. The universe drew you near. Do not give up. The more wisdom you attain and the more conscious you become, the crazier you will appear to others. And I can tell you that's true from my own experiences. Revealed scandal of 30,000 NHS workers on 0-hour contracts. This is 19th November this year, 2019. At least 30,000 NHS workers in the UK report employed on 0 hours contracts, new GMB analysis of official figures has revealed. The true number is likely higher, as the statistics may not include outsourced workers or workers employed through controversial wholly owned subsidiary companies that are not bound by nationally agreed employment standards. The number of NHS workers who report being employed on 0 hours contract has increased fourfold since 2013, much faster than the increase is wider economy. Sudbury CTV reporter charged with child pornography offences. And for those that maybe in different countries or maybe don't know what CTV stands for, it's children's television. Greater Sudbury Police say they have charged a man with a number of child pornography offences after a search warrant was executed in the city on Wednesday. Police said they began investigating a Sudbury resident in October of last year after they allegedly downloaded child pornography on a file sharing site. Investigators allege explicit content was downloaded by that resident a number of times since October until the search warrant was executed on Wednesday. During the search warrant, police said they found evidence of child pornography on computers and also a small baggie of what is believed to be cocaine. Police said 32-year-old Callum Syke O'Flanagan, who is also known as Callum Rodier, faces a number of charges in relation to the investigation. Some of the charges he faces include possession of child pornography, accessing child pornography and possession of controlled substance. CTV News confirmed that Rodier is one of their reporters. Pizza Express to offer 3 alibis for $14.95. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, has used a visit to Pizza Express in Woking as an alibi for his whereabouts on the 10th of March 2001. And such is the popularity of this alibi that the chain of Italian restaurants is offering 3 alibis for the incredible knockdown price of $14.95. The Duke made the claim during an interview with Newsnight's Emily Matilde. "We are only too pleased to offer Prince Andrew an alibi for his whereabouts in 2001, stated Sir Colin Stuff Crust, Chief Executive of Royal Excuses at Pizza Express. And such has been the popularity of this tale, we are now making these alibis a non-royal exclusive for all customers. For only $14.95 we can provide 3 alibis each at a time, date of your choosing." Trains on UK railways now almost entirely state-owned by foreign countries. If there's nothing else, that is treason. Extensive state ownership exists among UK rail operators. It just doesn't involve the British state. With rail fares set to rise again by as much as 2.8%, the debate over whether the UK should renationalise the railways, which Labour made in a 2017 manifesto pledge, has already reared its head. This week, the Trade Union Congress renewed its call for renationalisation, saying doing so would lead to lower ticket prices. "We're already paying the highest ticket prices in Europe to travel on overcrowded and understaffed trains," the organisation's General Secretary Francis O'Grady said, adding that passengers shouldn't be subsidising private train companies. But a significant proportion of the UK's railways already are under the state control, with National Rail in charge of around 75% of the industry, including the tickets, thousands of stations and signalling operations. But what the train operators, there are 20 operators of franchise passenger service, and discussions about renationalising the railway generally concern returning control to the service of the state, which means us, but we've let the state take control. Homeless dad amongst 4 to die in 12 hours on -9 degrees coldest night. The 57-year-old man is thought to have died of hypothermia while trying to sleep rough in a tent in Wakefield, North Yorkshire, as temperatures dropped overnight. A homeless man was found frozen to death after temperatures plummeted across the country last night, claiming 4 lives in just 12 hours. The dad was reportedly found dead in a flimsy tent he had been sleeping in close to Wakefield Cathedral. His death comes after another man, who was also believed to have died sleeping rough, was found collapsed in an alleyway behind the Hilton Hotel in Nottingham. And it's in separate incidents, an unknown male and a teenager were killed after being struck by lorries during foggy conditions. In Wakefield, temperatures hovered around -3 degrees on Tuesday night, but in Bremer in Aberdeenshire they fell to -9 overnight, making it the coldest night of autumn. Global warming is to blame, isn't it? Oh wait, no, they've changed it to climate change because they know it's actually getting colder, not warmer. But it doesn't matter whether it gets hotter or colder, it's your fault. And yet all the evidence proves it's a natural event. It's happened over and over again. But keep them in fear, you keep them under control. Children in need investment holdings rise to 94 million. Charities investments up from 88 million in previous year, as it insists every penny will go to disadvantaged children. Or should I say, as it lies that every penny will go to disadvantaged children. The BBC's Children in Need is sitting on investments worth 94 million. Now this is a few years old, so it's probably into the 120 million bracket now. After benefiting from a record-breaking fundraising drive, according to the charity's latest annual accounts. The organisation, which will air its annual appeal tonight, has increased its investment holdings by 7% in the past year, according to its 2014 accounts. It has an additional 3.1 million cash in the bank, up to 40% of the 2.2 million it held last year. A Children in Need spokeswoman said that the charity held funds in its investment portfolio. Why have they got an investment portfolio? Every penny's supposed to be going to children. Can you see the corruption in the UK? If not, well, you must be living in some different country. Which has grown from 88 million in 2013 because it rolls out awards on a year-by-year basis. She said, to suggest Children in Need is simply sitting on money is wrong and untrue. Like most responsible charities, BBC Children in Need does not sit on money, we give it out. You lying bastards. A pregnant 13-year-old girl killed herself after being gang raped by up to 6 men and held captive in a flat, it is being claimed. The teenager is alleged to have snapped a photo showing her legs dangling from a roof and sent it to a friend with a message saying, I'm about to go, I love you. The girl also wrote a series of Facebook posts reading, I'm about to go, and if I wasn't pregnant, I would have gone a long time ago, it was reported. Her mother, who reported the alleged attack to police in Bangkok, Thailand, said it had sent her into deep depression before she died by suicide last Friday. The girl, identified publicly only by her nickname Pinky, jumped to her death from a block of flats just before midnight, Thai media reported. US relations with China were just destroyed and nothing will ever be the same again. This is their final attempt to try and cause World War III before we lock the bastards up. Our relationships with China just went from bad to worse, and most Americans don't even realise that we just witnessed one of the most critical foreign policy decisions of the century. The US Senate just unanimously passed the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act 2019, and the Chinese are absolutely seething with anger. Violent protests have been rocking Hong Kong for months, and the Chinese have repeatedly accused the United States of being behind the protests. Whether that is true or not, the US Senate has openly sided with the protesters by passing this bill, and this is a no turning back now. Dealing with protest squat in Chester Council building cost almost £70,000. Homeless claim ongoing squats are a protest against inadequate support from council. What, you mean the council are utterly useless? No, that can't be true. We'd know about... Oh, wait, yeah, that makes perfect sense. The operation to manage a protest squat within a council building cost Chester West and Chester Council almost £70,000. Now, that actual statement is a lie, because it's us, the taxpayers, that paid for it. They just claim that they paid for it, because they're all totally corrupt, as we all know. Squatters made national headlines in October when about 20 homeless people gained entry into Hamilton House above the council homeless assessment hub in Chester city centre. They said their action was a peaceful protest against lack of help from the council and its homeless services provided for fortunes. Now, the council don't give a shit, but they don't like bad publicity. That's it. It's time we got rid of the councils, for good. In a case of unfortunate timing, CWAC evicted the squatters on World Homeless Day, and the group recently moved into the fifth empty premises within the former office of Walker Smith Way Legal in Nichols Street. The council has now confirmed providing extra security staff during the occupation cost £42,800 plus $25,000 to secure the building once the squatters had left. Can anyone explain to me why it would cost £25,000 to secure a building? Total made-up figures. And this security staff of $42,800, more made-up bullshit. Now, Change.org, I believe, is operated by them, but this one I will put out there. Free Julian Assange before it's too late. Signed to stop the USA extradition. When I took this snapshot, it was at 212,967 have signed. Let's get to 300,000, because that will make a difference. They can't ignore. Well, they can, but it'll show them for what they are if they do. Julian Assange has been forcibly removed from political asylum and has been arrested. He is no longer in the Ecuadorian embassy and instead is in British police custody in a maximum security prison for someone that's simply putting out the corruption that's going on. Julian Assange now faces the prospect of extradition to the USA to face 175 years imprisonment for publishing facts. Not fiction, facts. Delivered to him as a journalist, and those facts revealed systematic government corruption and war crimes. These were the exact issues he required protection from and why he accepted Ecuadorian political asylum. If you don't mind, go and tick the box so we can hopefully stop him from being extradited to the USA, although whether it'll make a difference, we will see. Now, I'm going to have a go at these words because they're words I've not seen before, and I'm just going to have a go. FENBENDAZOLE, MEBENDEZOLE have been clinically proven to help with lung and breast cancer. Clinically proven. FENBENDAZOLE, MEBENDEZOLE and besamidazole are all different names for a fungicide drug that is more commonly associated with treating worms in animals. They are already clinically approved and have been experimentally tested for conditions other than cancer, but have been found to possess previously unrecognised cytotoxicity towards malignant cells, and as such are great anti-cancer candidates for lung and breast cancer in particular. It makes sense that a drug that was first introduced for animal is shown to be working for humans too. As mammals, we are genetically similar, and cancer is in itself a fungus. So kill the fungus, kill the cancer. FENBENDAZOLE is a broad-spectrum besamidazole anthelmintic used against gastrointestinal parasites, including Giardia, roundworms, hookworms, whipworms, and the tapeworm genus, etc. Mebendazole is in a class of medicines called anthelmintics. It works by killing the worms, and in turn, both of these drugs can also cause the death of cancer cells. These are a softer pharmaceutical drug and is not as harmful to the human body as many of the chemotherapy things that have been developed for breast and lung cancer, making it kinder an easier alternative, because at the end of the day, chemotherapy is just a murdering drug. Please also note that this is not a standalone treatment, and as such is far more effective if taken alongside immunotherapy, GC-MAF, and other holistic treatments, including M-oil, and must be accompanied by a good probiotic for the gut. Of course, David Noakes, who's cured over 10,000 people using GC math, is still facing extradition to France to face charges for curing cancer. Clean diet. It is also vital that you stick to a clean diet with no processed food, refined sugars, dairy, meat or wheat, or anything that sugar is in the body, as sugar feeds the fungus that is the cancer in the body. You need to also avoid any food causes inflammation in the body. So there you have it. Sugar feeds cancer. And what do they give you when you're in hospital? Ice cream, cakes, sugar. They're feeding the cancer because it's not the nurse's fault. They're told to do this, but it's those the higher up that no, feed the cancer, you'll kill the patient. Please see this article for the full information on the best diet for battling cancer and the foods that you can eat. It needs not be the end of tasty food. Links in description if you want to read the full article and the other bits and bobs to it. Telegraph. Duke departs from public life. Prince Andrew ready to give evidence in US Epstein investigation. Queen ordered her son to step back from his duties, says source. Mum'll fix it. Elderly will keep their homes under Johnson's social care pledge. Well, wait a minute. Wasn't them that introduced the thing that meant that you had to sell your home to pay for your care? Oh yeah, and now they're backpedaling. Of course, it's all lies and deception because it's pre-election. After the election, they'll just ignore it and carry on what they're doing, unless we get rid of them all. Extinction Rebellion facing Holocaust row. Extinction Rebellion is funded by them. It's not for us, it's funded by them. And just because there's people involved in it doesn't mean that it's them that are behind it or that know what they're doing. They're just dumb puppets. Social media firms to give up dead girls' data. Mourinho insists Kane must remain at Spurs. Britain leads Europe for tech investment. Mirror. Andrew bombshell. I'm sorry, mummy. Prince grovels as he quits royal life and loses his $249,000 a year handout. Who are the real benefit cheats? Metro. The banned old Duke of York. Andrew is forced to step down over links to convicted paedophile. Says he is ready to cooperate with investigation into Epstein. Yeah. Johnson teases tax booster for millions. Lib Dem manifesto how plans stack up. Train guards to return under Labour. Crisis at the palace. Prince Andrew quits public life for foreseeable future, effectively resigning as a working royal. They've never done a day's work in their life. Queen moves to shut down outcry over her son's behaviour and friendship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Duke finally shows sympathy with Epstein's victims because he's been told to. He doesn't give a shit. Palace declines to comment on whether he keeps his private allowance from the Queen, reported to be £250,000. Private from the Queen. Bullshit from the taxpayers. Express. Boris tax giveaway. £465 million windfall for millions of workers. More lies. Don't fall for it again. Queen advises Duke to quit duties, saying monarchy from further damage. Andrew shamed into stepping down. You've got to feel no sympathy whatsoever for them, have you? The Times. Duke stands down after crisis talk with Queen. PM pledges tax cut plan for millions of workers. But while those millions of pounds are apparently going to be given to as the tax, people are still dying on the streets. Men and women and children dying, freezing to death because of the very same government that's now pretending to help us. And it doesn't matter which one, Labour, Lib Dem, Conservative, they're all controlled opposition to us. Andrew quits public life over Epstein scandal. Prince Charles consulted while on New Zealand tour. Britain tumour hope. UK official tortured. Church confession. Trump's Ukraine link. Fund manager fined. Mourinho's plea. Daily fail. Royal crisis. As Andrew steps down over Epstein paedophile scandal, Queen and Charles force his hand. Bullshit. Bombshell comes just hours after Mail confronts Palace with fresh claims. Outcast. Duke's disgrace. Should that be paedophile's disgrace? Yeah, I think that's a more apt term, don't you? The scum. 465 tax cut for every worker in Britain. Lying bastard. Queen let down by shamed son. Let's not forget, while the Queen and Philip were over in Canada, they went to visit a adoption place, took some kids away, and they were never seen again because the royals murdered them and indulged themselves in their adrenochrome. Prince Andy. Her Majesty strips Andy of royal duty. He says he'll talk to Epstein cops. The Guardian. Labour in £75 billion pledge to tackle UK housing crisis. Council house building programme for the many would be biggest since post-war boom. It's all lies and deception. You know, whenever a politician's speaking, you know he's lying because his lips are moving. Families waiting for a home include mothers of severely ill children, people in their 80s and working families. Scandal forces Prince to suspend public duties. Utter waste of paper. Attack of the clones. Fear over Catelyn. Oh, it's that thing that's a bloke that thinks it's it's just pushing the pedo bleeding shit again. Scrooge ban on Christmas crackers. Golly, it's Molly. FT. Soundland followed orders from Trump on Ukraine quid pro quo. Envoy turns on President. Explosive impeachment testimony. Pompeo implicated. Johnson's tax breaks for top earners on hold after national insurance pledge. What is the worst combination of illness? Alzheimer's and diarrhea. You're running but can't remember where. A man is reading his newspaper and says to his wife, Michelle, look, here is an article about how women use about twice as many words per day as men do. The wife responds, that's because we have to tell you everything twice. What do you call a ghost comedian? Dead funny. I don't understand Americanism. Like Americans say eggplants, but everyone else says chickens. Knock knock. Who's there? Europe. Europe who? No, Europe who?